Right, back again today to learn something new about what shoes we wear and why we wear them. And today we are going to talk about shoes that we've chosen to wear. So one of the things that I like to talk about is that, if you think about it, when we're little kids, dressing up was a thing where you all would wear, like I remember my little girl, finding my wedding dress and putting on my mum's, wedding shoes. And sometimes even the boys do that too, and it's just like they like to dress up. They like to play cowboy or, Batman or whatever it is, whatever the Avenger of the season is. And so the idea here is that, when we're little kids, we try on these different roles, if you like, but we literally are trying on different shoes. So, you step into the wedding shoes, you pretend to be the bride, or you pretend to be like mum, or you pretend to be like dad. So it's what are the shoes that, we test out when we're little that stick with us and that we then move on to incorporate into our actual adult life. So I often liken it to the fact that we are in fact like patchwork quilt blankets. We take a little bit of this person that we like and a little bit of that person that we like, and we like, it might be an uncle, it might be an auntie, it might be mum, it might be dad, it might be a friend, and we string it all together into this beautiful, unique patchwork quilt that we call our own. And this is one of the reasons why, people always, I laugh at everyone trying so hard. I mean, I don't laugh, humor laughing, but, trying so hard to be something that they're not, when the uniqueness is in the design of a one-off quilt, which is you. There is never going to be another you. Our fingerprints, none of them are the same, and there are literally millions, billions of people on this planet. Like, you have to think about that. That's just incredible right there. Every single DNA that we have is a patchwork quilt of all these different genetics that we've inherited over the years and that make us truly unique into what we are today. And how do we embrace that? How do we go, these are my genes, this is my patchwork quilt, and I love it. And also understanding what those little patchworks are. Why did I choose that little patch? Why did I choose to wear those shoes when I was younger? What was it that attracted me to that person that went, hey, you know what, I want to be like that? They became my role models, and what made them our role models. So it's understanding what connected us, what made us the way we are, because if we don't understand what our patchwork quilt is, our shoes are that we choose to wear, then we can't. Knowledge is power. You get that whole understanding of this is what makes me so unique. So for example, one of the things that I love is that my grandfather was the carpenter to the Queen of England. So he did the most amazing work. So I loved going over to England, to Plymouth actually, and staying with them with my mum, because their whole house was full of all the duplicate furniture that you find in Buckingham Palace, which is absolutely remarkable. I mean, there's not many people who can say that, and that connection is just something I'm incredibly proud of. He was incredibly creative, and we loved all the furniture that he had. And I just always remember it was really fond childhood memories that I had going into their house, and there were all the grandfather's clocks ticking away and little cuckoos coming out, and the old writing desk with like the lion feet on it, and these old, the camp beds weren't so great. I would have preferred normal beds. They had these funky sort of like camp beds that I'm assuming he made that were canvas, but they were like hammocks. And I have to say, they were pretty cold in winter. You could feel the heat the cold coming up through the canvas underneath. But I just remember the old rocking chairs that he made. And he always told me that, I am diverting a little bit, that, their donkey that they had in their backyard in the orchard, would come and, knock on the window. He'd kick on the back door asking for, his fruit for the day. And because they had this orchard out the back, which is another influence that I have, I personally got a huge big edible garden, a mini orchard if you like, because that imprint that I had from the experience that I had with my granddad lasted within me, and I'm passing that on to my kids. And this is how, when we start connecting the dots, it's like, well, why do you want to have that orchard in the first place? Maybe why do you like to do, woodwork? I don't personally like to do woodwork, but I am very creative, so I come up with new novel ideas all the time. It's creativity, but just in a different way. And my family is typically very creative, and I'm sure that line has come through that side as well as on my father's side for other reasons, but in a different way. So that clarity of, that's just one little block of my patchwork quilt. It's those shoes that I've chosen to wear, my gardening shoes, to share with my kids, my gum boots, if you like. They came from my granddad, and I'm proud of wearing those. And I think we need to get back to basics anyway. I think we're kind of losing touch with nature and relying too much on I'd like to say artificial food chains. A lot of it is artificial, all the packets and the nutritionally poor foods that just don't enrich and enliven us. But that is something that is ingrained within me, and I just want to gift that part of my patchwork quilt over to them, and it'll be up to them whether they would actually choose to do that or not, whether they choose to wear their gum boots to go gardening, whether they choose to wear boots that are protective to do wood turning. And in fact, my son is interested in doing that at high school. So it's how what we embrace and how we influence others is dependent on the choices that we make consciously and quite often unconsciously. So this is what all of this is about, is like, what's all that unconscious patchwork quilt? What are those unconscious shoes that you've been wearing over the years, and you've never questioned it? You've just gone, well, I've just always, I don't know why I've liked gardening. That's just, I just do. And when you start going into deep dives, now it may not seem like it's very important, but it does actually come together really well, because when it comes to, how shall I say, there's temptations and distractions coming into our life on a constant basis, bombarding us every single day, taking us off on our devices to this, let's go and have a look over here. I call it, blinded by the bling. The little bling goes over there and everybody goes rushing that way, and then there's a bling over this way and everybody goes rushing off that way. And it actually, when you get clear about who you are as a person, what shoes I like to wear, my patchwork quilters, how I'm made, the bling comes and I can go, well, no, that actually doesn't work for me. I'm not just going to rush off because everybody else is rushing there. I actually go, well, say for example, in the case of gardening, if something comes up and it's related to gardening, yes, then I would probably go, and it's something that I don't already know, I'm likely to then go and explore that. Whereas if it's something that's, say, nothing to do with it, that is promoting the artificial, nutritionally poor kind of drive, sign up for this box of rubbish that you can get every single month because it's cheap and it's nasty and will probably give you all sorts of, ill health and high sugar and high salt and full of preservatives, then I'm just so not interested. It just doesn't even, I just go, no thank you, and hit delete. So, swipe it off the screen. So it's that clarity that when you start getting clear on what your shoes are and why you make those decisions the way that you do, then you start going, hey, you know what, that's thanks, but no thanks, and some people even try and persuade you, no, really, you want to be looking at this, and I go, do you know what, I really don't, and being okay with that, like I really don't want to eat your junk food, thank you very much, as tempting as you've made it sound, as cheap as you've made it, it's just so not attractive to me. It doesn't float my boat at all. So when you get that empowers you, it gives you that sense of clarity and knowing that this is who I am, and we have to know who we are and what shoes we wear and why we've chosen to wear them, for that to be able to take place. So one of the things that I would like to ask you to do, just a very quick exercise, is start looking at who were some of your role models. Like, what are the shoes that you chose to wear? So it might be, for example, teachers are a classic. Like, I learned, I had this really great teacher, Mrs. Sterling. She was an English teacher, and she just brought English to life. Instead of sitting there reading a book, which was common for us at convent in Zimbabwe, you know, read your lines and then it would go to the next person, read your next line. It was so boring. She made us act out the Shakespearean plays. She gave us the roles and she said, okay, learn these lines or read these lines while you're doing it, and get all theatrical and have a bit of flair. And she made it so much fun. And, you know, all of us just embraced that English lesson. She was just outstanding. She was quirky, she was different, she was fun. And I think everybody opted for her course because, you know, every year she was completely full because she just made it so enjoyable. So it's, who are your positive role models that you would like to take on board? Who that you did take on board that you went, like, it might be, oh, I noticed that I love fishing, and I learned that from my dad, so I got my fishing gumboots on, my waders, you know, and I love getting out in nature, and it was our bonding and connection time, and so therefore I do it with my son, or my, you know, or whatever the case may be. It might be that you've got fond memories of playing tennis, wearing your tennis shoes, and you know, it connected you with your friends, and you got recognition from your parents, and it made you feel good because you got the exercise and you loved winning trophies. And even if you didn't win trophies, you still enjoyed doing it because it was time with your buddies, and maybe social time afterwards. So hockey was a big thing for me growing up, and it was very much almost an expectation really in Zimbabwe to be part of that. So there was a bit of pressure, in fact quite a bit of pressure, so, you know, not entirely positive. But by the same token, every time we played a match, after the match we would always get together and have a barbecue afterwards, a braai we call it in Zimbabwe and South Africa, and that social time was way longer than the game. So we loved it, and we got to meet other teams from other schools and other clubs. So we were doing, you know, your social circle just expanded radically as a result. So it's start, just list, even if you can think of 3 just off the top of your head that you go, oh, you know, I like these shoes because, you know, my mum, you know, was a nurse and I want to be a helper. She was always there for people when they needed her. So I like to wear my nursing shoes or my caring shoes. It may not that you be an actual specific nurse, but it might be that you are in a caring profession. So you might have taken a lateral move, a step into something in a therapeutic way. It may not necessarily be specifically nurse shoes, but it's that component of, I like the fact that she was always there and helping others and nurturing and healing. So just think of 2 or 3. If you can manage 3 today, it's a very quick exercise. Just write down your 3 top role models that had a positive impact for you, what shoes they tended to wear, what kinds of professions, and how has that affected you. It may not just be professions, it might be that it was their hobbies, or, you know, that they were a great cook and so you've learned how to be, you know, a super chef, and how has that impacted your life, and how can you then help that, use those shoes and the learnings that you had from that to influence others to make their lives better. So very quick, short exercise. I would encourage you to actually do these little exercises each day. If you can spare 10 or 15 minutes working on you, all these little bite-sized chunks, all these little steps that you will take will help you to get clear on what shoes you want to wear, what shoes you do wear and never thought about it, what path you want to be on. Is this the right path? and so that we can get you to where you want to go, so that you're not living somebody else's life. I want you to live your life empowered, wearing your shoes on your path, your way. So if that sounds good, give yourself the time out today. I hope you really liked this video. If you did, please can you do thumbs up? Ideally, could you share? Just maybe this can help somebody else, as well, not just you. So it's free. It's all this information that I teach everybody on a regular basis, and makes a difference to their lives. So it can do the same for you. Until then, I will see you next time, and have a great day. Namaste.